Hello and welcome to the Cyclone podcast, a production by Katie, Madi, and Rylee. Today we will be talking about cyclones. Cyclones are major natural disasters that occur in the world today. Cyclones can also be called hurricanes or typhoons, depending on the region in which it arises. In this podcast, a brief history of cyclones will be discussed. This will include multiple historical events of hurricane disasters. Another key point presented in this podcast is the science behind cyclones and how they are caused. Finally, we will discuss how to prepare for a natural disaster like a hurricane and how cyclones could change the world. In the world today, cyclones are major disasters.
Cyclones occur in tropical regions, northern Australia, Southeast Asia, and Pacific Islands. Sometimes they drift to the temperate coastal areas, threatening more areas in the south. The deadliest cyclone on record in America was the Great Galveston Hurricane, a Category 4 cyclone. This hurricane took place in Galveston, Texas in 1900, killing 8,000 to 12,000 people, making it the most fatal cyclone in America's history. In 2005, the Category 3 cyclone Hurricane Katrina hit the southeast coast, killing 1,200 people and posing over $108 billion of damage, making it the most costly cyclone in the history of America. In 1992, America had been hit with the largest cyclone recorded in its history, Hurricane Andrew, a Category 5 cyclone, originally devastating South Florida, then continuing to the northwest across the Gulf Coast of Mexico to strike the Louisiana coastline.
The type of scientist that studies cyclones is a meteorologist. Dr. Steve Lyons is one of the most famous meteorologists and is considered a tropical expert. He worked for the National Hurricane Center, and each spring he speaks at hurricane preparement conferences and works on hurricane models. So what causes cyclones? The hot air rises very quickly, which makes low pressure. The warm air becomes filled with moisture and therefore becomes huge thunderclouds. Cool air rushes to fill the space left, but because of the Earth spinning on the axis, the air goes inwards and then spirals upwards with a big force. These turning winds rotate faster, and this forms a huge circle. The center is very calm and called the eye. Nothing occurs here. Hurricanes and cyclones are measured using a Saffir-Simpson scale. This measures the potential damage and the wind speed. Take Katrina, for example. A Category 4 hurricane with winds of 175 miles per hour, with 14 inches of rain and a peak of 55 feet. They also got 20 feet of water and a storm surge of 11.8 feet. Scientists can predict future occurrences of hurricanes by looking at changes in upper-level winds and oceans at abnormal heat, radar imaging, and temperature mapping. Questions that scientists often have regarding hurricanes is if there is a link connecting global warming and hurricanes.
When living in a tropical area, you should always prepare for the worst. Remember to keep many supplies that will be needed if trapped during a hurricane or cyclone. Be ready by being equipped with non-perishable food, medical supplies, and clean, purified water. Like fire, tornado, or lockdown drills, you should have a well-thought-out plan to help you during a disaster. Because of the location of the United States' major cities, many people may be in danger. Cyclones cause great destruction, which in turn could demolish large cities beyond repair. Multiple projects and organizations are run out of these cities, which would end a relatively large amount of products that are needed. The world would be a different place if massive cyclones were to form.
In this podcast, we discussed how hurricanes form, where they are located, and the history of cyclones in America, including the damages that occurred. Another point discussed in the podcast was meteorologists and their study of cyclones, including the tools they use and the measurements they focus on. Finally, we discussed the kits and preparations that need to be met in the presence of a hurricane and how they can change our world. Well, catch you